Today we're going to install the wood plank interior walls in this shipping container cabin. Somehow we're going to try to figure out how to attach these wood planks to these steel studs and find out if this could be a better option than Lifeless Obnoxious drywall. First, I'll show you what I did in this one. I installed all this beautiful Douglas fir. I cut all of this lumber myself from trees off of this property. I've said it many times, but I think Douglas fir is a highly underrated wood for its beauty. And I'll tell you where you can get some of this too. These boards turned out really nice. The joints are good and tight. A lot of places you can barely tell there's a seam between the boards. This one is different because I used conventional wood framing. Attaching the wood to that was very straightforward. Attaching it to the metal studs could be a different story. Today I'm going to step way out of my comfort zone and try doing a woodworking video, which is out of my wheelhouse. There can be a couple different reasons why we might want to watch a video or watch or look at anything. One would be because it's something good. The other reason would be like the horrible train wreck, which is a horrible thing, but still we kind of want to watch it. My concern with this video is this one might end up being more like the horrible train wreck. I debated for a while whether I wanted to do this on video or do it off camera just to get the job done. My concern with doing it on video is this may end up just being a big comedy show. Not the good kind of comedy where you laugh with me, but the kind where you laugh at me because some of the things I might do here. But I've heard a rumor laughing is good for you, so I decided either way, I'll just take one for the team. I'm going to go change into my woodworking hat, then we'll go in there and see if we can avoid turning a beautiful pile of Douglas fir lumber into a horrible train wreck. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a train wreck. I have this pile of lumber here. I want to put this lumber on these walls and this ceiling. Part of my challenge has been trying to find a good way to attach the wood to these metal studs. These boards came off my sawmill at 8 feet with a few inches extra trim. That's where I made my first mistake. This is a 20-foot long container. It would have been a lot easier if I would have cut these into 10-foot pieces instead of 8-foot. So 2 boards will span the whole length of the wall. A year ago when I made this lumber, I had no idea what I was even going to use it for, so I just cut the logs into 8-foot lengths. If I was to cut more 10-foot boards now, by the time I cut more, dry them, have them ready to go, it'll be well into summer. We'll just use what we have and deal with it. I started on this a couple days ago, already had one failed attempt. When I tried to attach the first board to the ceiling, I ran into a problem. I tried attaching them with these self-drilling screws. It looked like it was going to be a good thing. It has these little reamer wings on here, which drills a wide enough hole through the wood. Then these reamers are supposed to break off when they hit the metal, so the threads will tap into the metal. That's when I learned these don't work well on thin gauge metal because it's not strong enough to break those reamers off. Instead, it drills a hole that's too big for the threads to tap into. But when I got these at the hardware store, they said if these don't work out for me, I can bring them back. But in the whole kerfuffle of trying to get these to work, I stepped on the container. I'm guessing they're not going to want them back now. This time I'm going to try again using these self-drilling drywall screws. This is what the guy at the company who I bought the shipping container from said to use. Instead of using what the professional who does this for a living said to use, I decided to try something different and had a problem. Imagine that. I'm going to try putting them up there with those screws, see how it works. But I have a problem. I somehow need to line this up in the middle of the stud while holding it steady while I drill these screws in without having the board move. I want all the ends to come out very even right in the middle of the stud. I'm going to try to outsmart this situation. I mark the center on both sides. I'm just going to attach this side with a C-clamp for now. Now I have a flat edge to put the end of my boards up against. I wonder how long it's going to take before I realize I need to shift my drill into second gear to get a higher speed for these self-drilling screws. Those screws seem to work quite well. Imagine that. Do what the professionals who do this for a living recommend. Check to see if we are square against the, what is it we call this board? It's a end of the board bumper upper againster board. Adjust it to make sure it is square. Check that we got it square before securing it in the middle. Check again to make sure it's still square before also securing the other end. I cut the few inches of trim off the ends. I cut down and square each board to 8 feet long. Pick out which side of each board looks best to be facing out. Measure in 16 inches from the ends, 1 inch from the edge. Since the other screws with the reamers didn't work out to pre-drill the wood holes, I'm going to have to pre-drill all the screw holes with a bit that's a little bigger than the screws, so the screws don't lift the wood or try to screw the heads all the way through the wood before it can make its way through the metal stud. How about that? It only took the second board before I realized I should put the drill into high gear. One of the reasons I was hesitant to use these little drywall screws, I know how easy it is to snap the heads off of drywall screws. Maybe these drywall screws that are made for self-drilling into metal are higher grade drywall screws, because so far they are working great. So far, we haven't got into a train wreck here. This is going a lot more smoothly than I pictured it would. So far, I would say it's actually been a pleasant experience, maybe even bordering on enjoyable. Huh. There's a halfway decent looking ceiling up there now. Some of these boards have spots on one edge where they didn't get planed like the rest of them did. That's because these boards dried a little bit crooked, so they were a little too wonky for the machine to get all 4 sides. I'm using those for edge boards where I can put that messed up side on the side that's not going to be facing other boards, so you don't see a little gap between boards. It's okay if that irregular edge is on the underside because all this will be covered up with trim. This lower piece and this screw sticks out a little bit from the stud, so I'm putting the board up above that. I also want to keep a gap underneath here for eventually running electrical. The smart thing to do would be to run the electrical before putting in the walls and ceilings, but there are some reasons why I'm going to wait on that, which will be more clear when we get to that stage. I have a method to my madness there, but it won't be in this video. Let's get some walls up. I'm not going to put an end of the board bumper upper againster board on the end of these boards on the wall because I don't have to hold them up overhead and I can feel when the ends are even. One of the reasons I may be avoiding breaking off screw heads, I'm using this drywall screw setter. It's made to pull the bit out of the screw as soon as the screw gets to where it needs to go. I would put up a link to where I got this, but I just got it from the local hardware store. Huh, that looks like we have the whole wall up. After doing the same thing on the other wall, which took much longer than this video would suggest it did, the other wall is up too. A few days later, it was a cold, snowy morning. Seemed like a good day to work inside by the fire instead of being outside in the cold. Now we have the two end walls to cover. A few days before, I put bad insulation in the end walls. Installing insulation is one of my absolute favorite things to do. I put the Tyvek wrap on here, mostly just to contain the insulation dust, keep it from working its way between the boards. I put my first board on 2 3/4-inch blocks, plus a piece of hardy backer board. Do the same things on both sides, so my first board will be level to the floor. This side already has a piece of hardy backer board on the floor. Maybe I didn't think this through as well as I could have. This thing is hot, being a wood stove and all. Oh, that unmistakable smell of overheating clothing. I have to say, this may not be one of my most brilliant moments when it comes to choosing a time to do something. I'm just using regular drywall screws here, since they're going into wood studs, just so it'll match the rest of the screws. With this bit, I'm still not breaking off screw heads. I didn't get any video footage of cutting out the hole in these pieces to go around the flue, because I was too busy trying to figure out how to get these pieces cut in the right spot at the right size to go around this flue, which apparently I didn't do a very good job of doing. But after a little bit of retrimming, I got a good fit. I attach this side first to make sure it's flush against the board below it, then attach the other side. Now on the other wall, I'm putting both of these upright pieces on this square so I can mount it with a little bit of wiggle room underneath. We'll see in a moment why I want that wiggle room. That wasn't the moment. Sometimes it's good to attach things to things. Like this board, which is going to fall if I don't attach it. Looks like I may not have thought this moment through very well. I want these joints to come together straight and flush, and at least look like they're square. That gap I left on the bottom gives me enough room to move these around until they're in the right position. I would make it actually square, but working with shipping containers, what I've learned is shipping containers are not perfectly square. So I have to adapt this somewhat to the container, then we'll use trim to cover up some of the imperfections and make it look good. It almost seems like shipping containers were built primarily for loading cargo into to ship it across the ocean, more so than being built for precision building. But I think it turned out well, considering the crude tools and lack of skill that was used. Some of the boards weren't perfectly straight, being wood and all, so we have a few small gaps in here, but we do have expansion and contraction to consider. Wood does move with different conditions. Although the other container's been left alone in cool, damp weather, Then from that go straight to wood stove, warm, dry air. I haven't noticed any movement in it. This dry Douglas fir seems to be pretty stable. What about the exposed screws? Am I going to hide the screws? I don't mind the look of the screws. It's just part of it. It has its imperfections. It's not perfect. We're not trying to build some fancy, what's an example of a really fancy thing? We're not trying to build some really fancy thing. This is just a cabin out in the woods. It's supposed to be a little bit rustic. The little gaps between the boards, some have it, some don't. The little imperfections, it's just part of the character, I think. Rustic charm, I think they call it. I wonder if somebody made that word up one day just trying to cover up some shoddy work they did. I like having exposed screws because that means if you need to change something, if you need to take a board off to get back there for some reason to change the wiring, the plumbing, all you have to do is take the screws out, pull the boards off, put the board back on, screw it back in. One thing I find annoying about a lot of standard building techniques, once you have it up, you have to destroy it in order to modify it, repair something behind it, like drywall or shower heads. Not shower heads, but the shower hardware that they encase in the wall behind drywall or tile. If something goes wrong, you have to demolish the wall, then get to it, then rebuild the wall, instead of just being able to unscrew something, screw it back in. I just closed those container doors because the lighting in here was brutal. Now it just blew open. Got a bunch of wind kicking up out there. We still have these corners to do. That's why it would have been nice if these were 10-foot boards. We wouldn't have to deal with this. One idea is just to cut a bunch of short pieces, continue that way. There'll be a lot of little pieces, a lot of screws. To put the little pieces in all four corners is going to be the same number of boards, same number of cuts, same number of drilled holes, same number of screws as we have in all the long boards on both walls. On both boards, I put 2 screws on each end. It's going to be the same over there, and over there and there, which I can do. I have another idea just to put some boards this way. The widest smooth surface boards I have are 9.5 inches. I would need at least a 1x12 to do that, to span wide enough to be able to attach it on both sides. I have some 1x12s that would fit in there, but they are rough sawn. They are not nicely surfaced like these boards. It wouldn't look good. That would mean I would somehow need to get those 1x12s planed, and I don't have a planer. I'm still trying to decide if I want to go with the short boards or go that route. Once I get all that up, I can go around the corners, put up the trim, make this place look nice. If I don't have a planer, how did I get this wood all planed up nice? That was the easy part. I loaded my rough sawn lumber onto my flatbed trailer, hauled it into a local molding company. They ran it through their fancy molding machine, and I came back with really nice precision boards. Now I'm going to go put on my outside hat and show you something outside. This is what we call outside. Welcome to outside. I still have a lot of this lumber left. This is the same material we were working with inside, it just hasn't been planed. Good tight grain material with small knots. These were cut mostly from trees that were overcrowded, so they're slow growing, they have the tighter rings, small knots. I have a pile over there, another one over there. I have more wood around here than I know what to do with, and I can cut more. Yesterday I called the company who surfaced the boards for me. I asked them if there's somebody in the Southern Oregon or surrounding area who wants some of those nice surfaced boards, could they just call your company, tell them you want some of my wood, they will surface these up for you real nice. They would be happy to turn any of this into some really nice boards for you. If you want the kind of boards we were just working with, you're in the Southern Oregon or surrounding area, I'll put their contact information in the description. Tell them you want some of my wood, they'll hook you up. Will they ship out of the area? I don't know. Wood can be expensive to ship. If I find out, I'll put that in the description too. They can do tongue and groove. They can mold this into all kinds of things. I didn't do tongue and groove because... Why didn't I do tongue and groove? I guess because I didn't mind that the screws were showing. Now it's getting really windy out here. I'm done.